Let us continue with the investigation. Apparently, the nurse appears around this building. And if we smell some sort of lavender or some sort of flowery smell, supposedly that's her. And then we moved into the forest area. And when I say we, it's me, myself, and I. Yeah. This walkway here, if we continue walking, it'll eventually lead to the forest area close to the lake shore. But just around the corner from here is also where they freeze the path in order to make some sort of ice rink where people like to skate around in the wintertime. It's actually quite beautiful during the day. Approaching this more desolate area, I was actually very surprised as to the amount of humans that were wandering around in the dark out here. As a matter of fact, I encountered a group of women that seemed to be, well, getting intoxicated and having really loud conversations, and I think that I accidentally spooked them as I walked close to them, which was not my intention. They just weren't paying attention. But we will hear them soon.
So were there people in the woods?
Yes, I mean, there were a lot of people that I didn't see. I saw a group of women, and I know I scared them, but it was accidental. They were being loud, and they were having a really heated discussion about, I'm not really sure, so I wasn't paying attention. But they didn't see me, and it also didn't help that I was wearing like really dark clothes. So they were too into themselves, and they didn't see me until I was almost right. Not gonna say next to them because I didn't walk anywhere near them like that. But I was pretty much next to them, and then that's when they saw me and they froze, and it's just like, relax, like, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm going paranormal hunting. Like, I don't know what you are doing, but anyways. In the woods themselves, yes, there were people. I didn't see anyone, but I could hear people talking. I hope it was people. But yeah, there were people, mostly women for some weird reason. But yeah, so there was people. You can hear the group of girls right here. That's a rabbit. Cool. Well, if there's one place that would be haunted, it would be the forest, but This is what the lakeshore of the past looked like before it was developed and turned into what it is now. The faint voices that you hear in the background are the voices of the women that I was talking about before. They were giggling and laughing. It was a bit off-putting, but I knew where it was coming from.
Can you explain why the footage looks so different?
Okay, so let me explain that. There's a reason why the footage looks different. Well, one is from a handycam. One is from a handycam that I took that had night vision on it, which looks really cool, and that's why I wanted to do that so I can get the night vision effect, right? The next two types of footages that we have, one is from the GhostTube app, so that makes it look slightly different, and the other one is actually from the iPhone. I think it's 12. I don't know. It's an old phone. I've had it for a couple of years now, but that's why the footage looks that way. So if you see different footage, it's all the same. It's just from three different, I guess, not machines, well, two different machines, but just one is an app, one is the actual phone, and the other one is the camera.
See, this is the problem with GhostTube. I don't think that there's a spirit there. Just geese. Admittedly, those are the problems that I thought GhostTube had. My opinions have changed slightly since then. The weather kept changing on me, and just hearing that there were people in the forest, whether it be women or men, and what I was seeing on the GhostTube app did contribute to my feeling of eeriness. Like it felt really strange, and there was an urgency for me to leave the area. However, I continued to record. Well, if there's going to be ghosts, they would be here. In the past, the mentally ill patients used to come around this area for walks.
Explain your experiences in the woods and marina.
Okay, so here's the thing, and let me explain something. I have been there before at night, usually during the winter time, and the weather does get very erratic, and it's like that because it's right next to the lake, right? So there's a lot of trees. It's right next to the lake and the water and stuff like that. So it does, for some reason, make the the weather get very erratic sometimes, right?
Do you believe the SLS footage, though?
So it was weird. That's what I'm going to say, because this time I was there, actively looking for, paranormal stuff. Oftentimes when I go for night walks, I'm usually with the dog. I have a dog. Her name is Nova, and so, and I'm not alone, right? But this time I was alone, so it was very creepy. So when the wind would pick up and then it would start to rain out of nowhere because it was raining. I don't think you can see it on the camera, but you can hear it. It gave that vibe that something was up, right?
So you're saying that it's possible that it might be real?
Well, I mean, okay. Here's the thing about that. It kind of makes sense to what was going on in that area. Do I believe it? Well, I don't know. It, like I said, it makes sense for what I was doing, and that area is where a lot of the well, I don't want to call them inmates because they weren't inmates, but in a sense they were back in the day. To the asylum, they would go for walks around there, and I can see why that area would form an attachment because it is pretty nice, right? Did anyone kill themselves out there? I don't know. I hope not, but it was creepy, and the SLS footage added to that creep factor. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of not freaked out. I was just very apprehensive because I'm like, what am I seeing? What is that? And why are they in the trees? Like, it was very odd. So, after I guess capturing all that I thought that I could capture, I left the marina area and the lakeshore area, and I went back to the campuses, going back around to where the power plant was. Well, it's not a power plant now, it's something else. It's just like a student center or whatever. But it looks like a power plant that has a chimney stack, and I think at one point it was, but now it's not.
Supposedly, this is where the nurse appears at night. The one that hung herself in the apple orchard. But I hear people, but those are just punk teenagers. Well, this, I guess, would be where the nurse frequents. Come on, ghost nurse. So this path is coming from the opposite side, from where the power plant is. So when we walked into this area, we came in from the opposite side. So I basically made a big circle around the area. So we're coming back to the back of the power plant here. So this is from another angle. And it's there. Supposedly. Or up there. That's Humber College. this is what this area would have looked like in the past. As you can see, there has been a lot of change, and yet it still looks familiar to what it does now. Well, I mean, apparently this is where the mentally ill people used to play and do activities in this field. But nowadays it's just used by, folks in the community that come and play soccer and play with their dogs and stuff. So nothing creepy. We're using GhostTube app in the field to see if it catches anything. But so far, Zippo. No. Nothing. A negative filter. No. Fascinating. It looks scarier because it's at night. During the day, this place is quite beautiful. To be honest with you, I think I am the most dangerous thing out here right now. Those are just some night birds. Nothing. At this point here, I had made my way around the entire campus, and it was, well, very interesting to say the least. There were a few eerie things here and there, but mostly it was just desolate and alone.
So what do you think? Is Humber haunted?
What did I think? Well, first of all, my next ghost hunt, I'm definitely not gonna go alone. Because, listen, I'm not afraid of anything, living or dead. But traveling around in areas like that is stupid, alone. You're doing it alone? That's not the safest thing. So, in that sense, I think that what I did was pretty dumb. Don't go around at night. I don't care how big you are or how powerful you think you are. It's just not safe, right? So don't do that again alone. Yeah.
Is it haunted though?
Is it haunted? Well, I don't know. The SLS camera thing said that it is. I didn't see any mists. I didn't see any orbs. I didn't see any shadow people, and I have seen those, all of those things, and I didn't see any of those things there. So is it haunted? I'm going to say maybe, but I didn't see anything physically, right? But there's a lot of stuff that people say that happens to them, and I'm not one to discount stuff like that. And also, there was an area that I just didn't have access to. There are tunnels underneath the whole campus that connect all the different colleges together. And because I'm not a student at the college and I went at night, I didn't have access to that. And apparently those places are notoriously haunted. So who knows, maybe I'll do another investigation where I just investigate the tunnels at night, and we'll see definitely if the place is haunted or not.
Do you think there's a stigma attached to Humber because it was an asylum before?
Oh yes, there is a lot of stigma, and I think that that's what ends up contributing to the atmosphere, and also to the urban legends and all the things that are supposedly happening at Humber, right? Definitely, and it's a stigma of one, mental health, and two, an old asylum, right? You have to understand, things in the past were different, and the way that we treated people with mental health illnesses was different. They didn't know any better, and also it was a more cruel time as well. There is also a lot of people that died there. There was 1,335 people that died there and that are buried on the ground somewhere. There used to be a cemetery, but I wasn't able to find it, and it's not on any map that I've seen, right? So could there be restless ghosts? I would say that there is, but unfortunately, I didn't see anything physically. The SLS camera app did, so GhostTube. Do I believe it? I don't know. But if it's real, they were definitely excited to see me, so.
The night had concluded, the ghost hunt was over, and it was time to head back. But little did I know that I wouldn't be heading back alone.
Okay, so tell the people what happened.
Okay. And I don't know if people are going to believe me, and whether they believe me or not, I don't personally care, but this is what happened. All right, so I'm going to say about a week after, a week after I did the hunt there at Humber College, I was in the living room and I was watching YouTube, because I do that, and I do that because I like to see what the competition is doing, how they're doing it, so I can do better. but, but anyways, so I wasn't doing anything weird or anything like that. I was just minding my own business. And then so YouTube has a search section, right, on the app that you have on your TV. I don't know if many of you do that, but I watch YouTube on my TV, and so there's a search bar, right? So I went to the search bar to look for something else, and so I have a control because I have what you call it, an Apple box, one of those Apple box thingies. And with those controls, so you have a clicker, right? And you have to click on it shows you like a keyboard, and you type in what it is that you want, or you can talk into it, and it'll show up on the screen, right? Anyways, so I'm going to use a clicker, and then suddenly on the search bar, it starts to just type all this random just stuff, right? And I'm thinking, oh, okay, that's weird. So I start pressing delete, just deleting the gibberish that was being typed out. And then it continues doing it. So I'm like, okay, what the hell? Like I'm looking at the control, and I'm thinking, oh, it must be jammed. It must be like dirt or something in it, right? And then I start deleting it again, and then it types out my name. And then that's what got my attention, because I'm like, what the hell? Like, what? Like, what? Like, why is it typing my name? Like, okay. Now looking at the control, I'm looking at my phone to see if maybe somehow my phone was affecting it. But then so I'm pressing delete, and then it continues to type my name, and it starts saying Carlos, like S. And I'm just looking at it. I'm like, what the hell? And then it starts writing out, help me, help me, help me. So there, I'm looking at it. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? I'm not thinking anything paranormal is happening. I'm thinking, okay, there has to be an explanation to this. One, someone either hacked my phone and was affecting it somehow. But I don't think that's the case. Two, it was the other guy that I live with, and maybe he was, screwing around and trying to scare me. So, I'm looking at it and I'm deleting it again, but it continues to type, Carlos, help me, help me, help me. So I'm just like, okay, how is this fucking guy doing that? Like, how's he doing this, right? Like, so I go upstairs, and he's working in his room, and I'm like, how did you do this? How'd you do this? I mean, that's pretty cool, but how did you do it? And he's like, what? I'm like, how did you manipulate the thing downstairs, and how did you make me able to see it? Like, that's so, like, it's cool. Freaky, but cool, but how'd you do it? And he's like, Carlos, I didn't do anything. I'm here working. And I'm like, no, I'm like, you must have done it. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, don't mess around with me. He's like, no, I'm working, and you know that I don't do practical jokes. I'm like, well, you're right, you don't. So I'm like, so you didn't do it? He's like, no. So I'm like, okay, let's go downstairs. You need to see this for yourself. So we went downstairs, and I showed him in the living room on the thing, on the app. And when I turned on the app, and I went to the search section, of course, it didn't do it anymore. So I was like, I swear to you, like, this is what's happening. And he's like, oh no, I believe you, but why didn't you film it? I'm like, oh man, like, you're right, I should have filmed it, but I wasn't thinking like that. I was thinking, what the hell? Like, I wasn't thinking, oh my God, this is a real ghost. No, so I don't know. So that's what happened. And then later on that night, my animals started acting strange, because I have a cat and I have a dog. And, the cat would be looking at things, like he'd be looking, which is very weird when a cat does that. And then my dog would be very scared of something. And you would see her, and she'd be looking at something too, and then she would leave the areas and go and hide. Now, she doesn't need to hide from anything, because, I don't terrorize her. She's a very happy animal. And, so she went to hide. And I was just like, what is going on here? So, I'm like, nah, And then things, you would see I would hear, glasses shifting and just things moving around. And then when I wouldn't see it, but I would see the after effects that they were actually moved. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? I am not going to allow this to happen. So something must have attached itself or found its way from there to here, or I don't know, right? But that is what happened. So what I ended up doing was that I ended up saging the house. I saged every room, I saged every floor, and I just saged the entire house. The whole house was just full of smoke. And then it was quiet and it went away. So, you know, that's what happened. Believe me or not, that is what happened. Do I think it has anything to do with the Humber hunt? I would say so. I mean, it makes sense. Did I open a portal to these things? Possibly. Well, yeah, that's what happened. Believe it or not. Well, I'll leave it to you to decide whether you believe me or not, but I'm just telling you that is what happened to me post-hunt. So for the next time, I guess I'll be more careful and I will definitely protect myself because you never know what you can bring home.